In the last 24 hours, we have tested 172 samples. Out of this number, a total of 84 samples from quarantined guests have been analyzed. We have received confirmation of one person who have tested positive for the coronavirus disease. Apart from those in mandatory quarantine, we have also tested an additional 88 samples of close contacts of the 42 confirmed cases. Out of this number, we have received confirmation of 6 patients who have tested positive for the coronavirus disease, and an additional 1 patient from the Aga Khan Hospital. This now brings the total number of confirmed cases in the last 24 hours to 8. The total number of confirmed cases now stands at 50 in the country. Tracing of contacts for the 50 confirmed cases is ongoing. The total number of close contacts that we have so far been monitoring stands at 1,474. Out of this number, 231 have been discharged after completing the mandatory 14-day follow-up period. Currently, our teams are monitoring 1,211 close contacts. The 8 cases are now spread out in various counties in the country. Kitui now has 1 case. Nairobi County has 6 new cases, while Mombasa 1. This now puts Nairobi County at 34 cases of those who have so far tested positive, followed by Kilifi at 6, Mombasa at 3, Kajiado and Kwale 1 each, with now the Kitui one. Out of the 44 cases, 26 are male, while 18 are female. To date, we have tested 1,005 persons for the coronavirus disease. From the above data, it is evident that the virus is now being spread through community transmission. This now calls for a lot more personal responsibility among Kenyans in this fight against the disease. Community transmission means that the disease is no longer imported from the outside, but is here with us. We are now spreading it among ourselves. We must now raise our level of alert and intervention measures. To this end, we need to take a number of measures, with the most immediate being in the border transport industry. For now, we need to protect our youth who are in this industry as border riders. And therefore, we will now require that any border rider, to protect himself, must carry only 1 passenger so as to maintain some level of distance. Secondly, the border rider and the passenger must wear masks for protection. We shall be spreading out masks in the counties for this purpose, but irrespective, they must wear, the border rider and the passenger must both wear masks. We expect border association leaders to oversee this process and ensure its implementation. The police will obviously be enforcing the same. Having said that, let me repeat that we are doing so to protect both the border riders, and you can imagine how many people a border rider has behind him for per day, and they have no idea who has got the virus and who hasn't. This is a measure so that that business can continue if it continues to follow the rules. Following the imposition of the curfew in our country, we are now urging the employers to release their employees at 4 p.m. from the workstations. This will enable people to be able to make travel arrangements to their houses before 7 p.m., which is the curfew time. Further, we are giving an advisory that we are encouraging those who stay in Nairobi against traveling up country during this period. Statistics have shown that majority of our elderly people live up country and that they are likely to get exposed, as it happened in Italy, by this kind of movement. Therefore, we would like to urge in the strongest terms possible to urge those who live in Nairobi to stay in Nairobi, those living up country to avoid traveling to Nairobi as much as they can, and when they do, to keep the social and physical distances that we are talking about. Finally, I want to clarify the issue with regards to flights in the country. As we indicated earlier, cargo flights are not restricted to fly in the country. This is to ensure that the economy is cushioned from the hard realities we are facing because of this disease. Most of them are bringing in medicines, among other items for use in the country. The cargo flights are not carrying any passengers. So if you see a German cargo flight or a Chinese cargo flight, please appreciate that they are not bringing passengers here. At the same time, there are also planes landing to evacuate foreign nationals who are here. For example, there will be 2 planes landing, I think today and tomorrow, to evacuate some German nationals who are in Mombasa. Today, we held a meeting between ourselves and the Council of Governors. And there are other measures that we have we made today that will be announced in a joint communique between the Ministry of Interior and the Council of Governors. I thank you all. Kama nilivyosema, nyinyi wenyewe mumejionea ile hesabu. Nimesema hapa watu 50 washaambukizwa na hii virusi. Vile vile nimesema sasa vile tumeona ni kwamba wale watu ambao wameambukizwa si ni wale walitembea ama ni wageni. Sasa ni kusema ya kwamba virusi iko hapa nchini na inaenea. Kwa hivyo ni kusema ni lazima tujikinge na ni lazima tujitayarishe kupigana na hii virusi na njia ya juu zaidi, kwa sababu sasa ni kusema ya kwamba kila mtu, ukiangalia kila mtu, ukiwa karibu na kila mtu, uelewe ya kwamba anaweza kuwa ashaambukizwa, kwa sababu wale walitutembelea walikuja wakaambukiza watu hapa nchini, hao nao wameendelea kuambukiza wengine ambao tuko nao hapa, na hata wakati huu tulipohesabu hawa 50 ambao wako hapa, kuna wengine 14 ambayo tunafanya test ingine tuone kama kwamba wako nayo, lakini hawa nitasema kesho. Lakini kwa wakati huu ni kuwahimiza ndugu zanguni, nimesema wale watu wanahudumia bodaboda ni lazima pia wajikinge, kwa sababu abiria wale wanabeba, huwezi kuelewa kama yule unambeba ako na virusi ama hana. Na kwa sababu wewe hujui, ni afadhali wewe unaweka ile kitambaa ya uso ama ya pua, na yeye pia anavaa hiyo kitambaa. Mkiwa nyinyi wawili mmevaa, basi ni kusema hata mmoja akiwa mgonjwa, basi pengine hata muambukiza huyo mwenzake. Kwa hivyo tafadhalini jameni, tuliambiwa mpaka Chamvunguni lazima ainame. Chamvunguni shetu hapa ni kujikinga, ni kupigana na hii virusi. Kuinama ni kunawa mkono, ni kusafisha, ni kuwa na usafi, na vile vile kukaa mbali kidogo na mwenzako, usije kumkaribia sana. Vile ukikaribia watu ni kusema wanaweza kukuambukiza we mwenyewe, na wewe ukiambukizwa utaendelea sasa kuambukiza wengine. Kwa hivyo tafadhalini Wakenya, fuateni vile serikali inasema, tufuate vile serikali inasema. Nimesema ya kwamba wale watu ambao wako Nairobi, watu wakaaji wa Nairobi, sasa tunamsihi mkae Nairobi, msianze kutembea, msiende popote, msiende Ushago, msiende kutembea Mombasa ama pahali pengine, kwa sababu sana kwanza Ushago huko ndio kina mama wanakaa, wazee ndio wanakaa, na hivi virusi inaonyesha ya kwamba mzee akiipata kupona ni ngumu, sio kama vijana. Kwa hivyo sisi wale ambao ni vijana, mkiwa hamtaki kuua wale wazee, basi kaeni hapa Nairobi, msiende huko nyumbani mpaka siku hizi ziishe, tuone vile hii virusi inaenea. Asanteni sana.
Question? Yeah.
Tulimwambia akae hapo. Ni nini hiyo inalia?
First and foremost, we have said that we have not stopped work. We have not stopped people from working. Let's start from there. Because if you are on a night shift, you should be able to go to night shift. If you are on a day shift, you should be able to go on a day shift. But in terms of the difficult times that clearly everybody is going to experience, we have plans as a government to see how we can assist people as much as we can, including the answer to your question regarding foodstuffs. But what we would like to urge is also communities. The business community has already volunteered. to take over some of the issues that that you have said. In fact, even providing food in certain cases. But what we are also asking is, let our communities work together for a change. Let people be together. Let's share what one has. I'm also asking the employers, please do not withhold people's salaries, people's wages, just because of the situation that currently exists. And for clarification, the 4 p.m. departure is not to say that you start reducing people's pay or people's salaries. It is simply to allow them to leave a bit earlier. Some of the people that we are dealing with have helped employers for many, many years. It is time also for employers to support them the way that employees have also supported these companies. So it's time to give. This is a time to give. It's a time to sacrifice, and we all should, and we all must. And further, for further clarification, yesterday, when we were talking about the number of cases that we had, one of the people that we announced, we said that was an American, but it has further been clarified that the person had actually traveled to America, but was not an American, and that is regretted.
Thank you, sir, for that CS, 2 weeks ago you didn't mention that the coming 14 days are going to be crucial, especially for the authorities and for Kenyans. In terms of the progress, what are our greatest advantages? Because we are so far 1 week into the 2 weeks, and what are our greatest fears? How are we doing in terms of, even as the numbers are coming in, we're at 50 right now. Where are we in terms of comparison with how this particular pandemic has affected other nations, and especially Europe? So are we scared? Should we be worried right now, or is it a thumbs up for us? As
I hear you. Let me put it this way. It appears that the modeling of this disease varies from place to place, because I think it is almost a month since we announced, it's going on to a month, since we announced the first case. Now, when you look at other countries, the examples from other countries, it's very different. Some countries are very different from what we have experienced. But so it evolves, we simply have to evolve it as we go along. We have obviously experts who are trying to model for us and to tell us, if we are at 50 now, where do we expect to be in the next 1 week? And you know, if we maintain distance, then it cannot grow exponentially. But if we do not maintain distance, obviously it will grow exponentially. Because what it means is that if I have it and I'm contacting all these people, they are all going to get it. But if I don't come in contact with any of them, it means I'm likely to stay alone and possibly turn negative at some point. That is why the most successful cases are cases where people agreed to keep social distance, to wash their hands, and to take the disease seriously. It is those countries that have done well, and it is in those countries that people are able to maintain it. We still have a chance. According to the statistics that are there, when you look at the growth patterns in other nations, it tells you that Kenyans have still got a chance if and only if we can take the steps that we are proposing and follow them diligently. People should not look at it as if the government is trying to force them to do something. On the contrary, knowing now what we know and knowing that the transmission is here now, what we should be doing is saying to ourselves, this is the time for us to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. If I have the virus within 14 days, it will show. If you can stay away from me for 14 days, if I have it, it will show you, and you can stay away from me then. But what we are saying is that there is no pattern that we can really say This is the one that Kenya is going to follow. Everything depends on what we do. Tenina?